It's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So, I've had a bit of good news this morning, haven't we? Oh my God, so I woke up this morning to see that this peace deal has supposedly been reached, hasn't it, between Hamas and Netanyahu, and President Trump's been behind him. Well, good old Trumpy. If Trumpy manages to pull this off, good for him. So that was a bit of good news this morning. I thought, oh, thank God, because normally you get up every morning, as soon as you look at the news, it's like, oh God, what's the latest thing that's happened? And, I think the doom scrolling that I do, I think it must be, the thing is, once you look at something on social media, isn't it? It's like whether it be X or Facebook or TikTok, whichever, and you start watching something, then you get thrown up all those things, all about sort of similar things. So I must look at really depressing things because it just throws so many scary things at me. I thought, God, I'm going to have to start clicking on some more positive things and try and get some positive news thrown my way, instead of negative news. I'm just going to put up some crazy world emojis because, we know it is getting crazier and crazier. So I am going to be doing a little bit of the old waffle at the beginning of this video, because although we are going to be talking about the Madeleine McCann stalker trial, poor Madeleine, bless her little soul. Do you think that Madeleine is probably, the photos of Madeleine are probably, do you think Madeleine McCann is the most, the girl whose photo has most been seen, like on the news, social media, etc.? And of course, she's frozen in time at 3 years old. There'll never be any more photos of Madeleine, I doubt very much, because in my belief, Madeleine is sadly no longer on this earth and hasn't been right from the day when she went missing. But yeah, I was thinking when I was sort of, because if you click on Madeleine McCann and all the images, like click on images, the images that come up, so many, but for her short life, do you know what I mean? And then of course you've got the age progressed photos, and then you've got like the fake Madeleine McCann photos. Now, so what we will be talking about when it gets going, I think I might have started this a little bit too early, this live, but it's okay. I can waffle and show you some other videos, maybe from Praia de Luz and things like that, while we're waiting for Sky News, because Sky News are there and they're following the trial live, but they haven't updated that they're back there yet. So, of course, here in Spain, so for people who don't know me, my name's Vicky Marie. I'm based in Spain, in Europe, and it is only, so it's, although it's 10:45 here in Spain, in the UK, where of course the trial is taking place in Leicester, I believe, it will only be 9:45, so maybe it's a little bit early there. I don't know what time proceedings get going, and then Sky News are caught up with the peace deal in Gaza, but I'm sure they've got somebody there, a reporter there. They said they're going to cover the trial every day. That's what I'm waiting for. Some live coverage of the trial, some live, there's no cameras in the courthouse, of course, but there are reporters there who can report on what's happening there, but no cameras, no. And today is an important day. Well, every day is important in this trial, because today giving testimony will be Sean, one of the twins that Madeleine was with that night when she disappeared, and Amelie. So they are going to give their evidence today, because these women, they've stalked them as well. It's terrible, really, what they've done, especially, you know, at the end of the day, Kate and Gerry, they have been in the public eye. They wanted to be in the public eye. You know, they did a campaign, a media campaign. But poor Sean and Amelie, you know, not only trying to cope with the trauma of, God, they look so much like Gerry, don't they? Not only trying to cope with the trauma, you know, of having a missing sister and being related to the most famous missing child case, missing child ever, probably, known internationally as Madeleine's brother and sister. It must have been awful for them. And there's Amelie. She's a very beautiful girl, isn't she? She is a very, very beautiful girl. And Sean, you know, they both seem to have turned out handsome and pretty despite being Gerry's children. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. I've not got a downer on Gerry. It's just Gerry always looks to me so sort of contemptuous. I don't know. And that's just the way he looks, obviously. But yeah, you can see that Gerry and Sean, very alike. And Amelie as well, I think, is like Gerry more than Kate, really. But yeah, very beautiful girl, but nothing like Julia. The only thing that is similar to Julia is the hair. But of course, that's a common hairstyle now. You know, at the moment, that seems to be the fashion for young girls to wear their hair very long. And Amelie's got beautiful, long, thick hair, as has Julia. So I would say that's where their similarity begins and ends. You know, the hair is similar. That's all you could say, I think, personally. And so, you know, I can see why both Gerry and Kate, as soon as they saw the photo of Julia, because of course they've got Amelie as a yardstick, you know, to give them an idea of what Madeleine might look like now, apart from the reconstructions that artists make. I can see how they knew straight away that it was not Madeleine, or thought straight away it was not Madeleine. And then, of course, the police had told them that they didn't consider it significant. And then the DNA results came back to say that Julia was, in fact, Polish descent. Having said that, I still feel that they could clear it up very quickly and simply and forever by just, you know, consenting or doing the DNA test. I don't know. Anyway, that's for them to decide. It's their life, their child that went missing. And as I said in the video yesterday, I do think they're quite lucky that they've still got 2 children that are still there, because all those 3 children were left alone in the apartment. And Madeleine apparently was snatched, but they were lucky that the other 2 weren't snatched, because they're only 2 years old. Anyway, so I'm going to say my thanks. First of all, as I say, I will be doing a little bit of waffle while I'm waiting for the live feed from Sky News to come on. We'll recap, because this trial started on Monday. We'll recap sort of what's happened so far, or we'll read out the Sky News recap, and then we'll look at probably some footage from Praia de Luz that I took when I went there. And then as soon as Sky News come on and start reporting on what's happening, we'll go over to that. So yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you for watching, for liking, for subscribing. I really do appreciate every one of you. I don't take any of my subscribers for granted. I hope you'll all stick with me through thick and thin, because yeah, you won't always agree with what I've got to say. That's fine. And of course, everybody's opinions are welcome. Everyone's views are welcome, as long as they're not disrespectful either to me, to whoever we're talking about, or to each other. No insults, you know, nothing like that. That would just be kicked off straight away. But that doesn't mean to say you can't say what you think. You can't say that you disagree with someone. Of course you can. wouldn't do, would it, if the whole world was, if we were all the same? You know, we have our views, and we appreciate each other's views, whether we agree with them or not, as long as they're not disrespectful, nasty, insulting. So also I'd like to say thank you, special thank you as always to my members. Tonight is Members Live. It's Thursday. I'm still not sure exactly what time, and the reason being is number one, son, he's still very, very poorly. Actually, he's very, very poorly. He's got terrible cough, which seems to have gone on forever. And I'm not sure yet if he's going to work tonight or isn't. So, you know, I have to sort of leave options open a little bit, really. He probably won't be going, to be honest. If he's not going, I will probably do it at 9 o'clock. But yeah, I have to confirm that later. So yeah, he's very, very poorly. You know, really poorly. And the problem is, as I'm sure you all know, if you've ever had one of those coughs, you can't sleep. So can't sleep, that's the main thing. You know, it's just cough. And as soon as he starts to drop off, coughs again, you know, so, and that wakes him up. And so he's literally hardly sleeping. So it's horrible, actually, and I hope as well that I don't catch it. But I just hope he gets, because it seems to have gone on. It's been at least a week that it's had this. So yeah, there will be a Members Live. I'm just not sure what time tonight. And thank you to those of you who've bought me Ko-fis, who sent super stickers, who've emailed me. I've had some very, very lovely emails lately. Thank you so much. What else did I want to say? That's it for the banner, I think. So yeah, I'm going to say hi to my lovely lurkers now. You know, my lovely lurkers, you know who you are. You're those people, you like to watch the lives, but you don't necessarily want to join in the chat. Maybe one day you feel brave enough to come into the chat, but thank you for watching anyway. And then my replay crew, thank you. People who can't manage to catch the live. I keep meaning to sort of, you know, chop these videos up a bit, like, you know, just cut the waffle off, and but time-wise, I just haven't had time. So, but I probably will. Probably this trial, I will, you know, I've done it with lives, I think, so far. So I will try and maybe chop those up, you know, cut them down into small, because some people like a short video. You know, I'm aware that my chatterati are all different, as we are. Like, we're all snowflakes. And I don't mean snowflakes in the negative term that we have now for snowflake. I mean the fact that no one snowflake is the same. We are all different. We are all unique. Some things we might have in common, other things we don't. We are snowflakes, every one of us is totally unique. I might change it from chatterati to snowflakes. Because I think, yeah, snowflake's been given a bad press, hasn't it? Now, snowflake's an insult, isn't it? But it's good to be a snowflake, be individual. Don't follow the crowd, have your own views. You know, so what I find is, yeah, sometimes I go along with the overwhelming view on whatever it is. And, you know, where it's like everyone's got a view at the moment. But sometimes I agree with the sort of overwhelming trend, if you like. And then other times I don't, and I go against the trend. I've always been a person who's not been, you know, who's, I suppose I'm an opinionated person. Because I've never been scared of giving my opinion. Maybe sometimes I'm too one way or the other, you know, too black or white, and I hold my hands up to that. I am a human being. I have very strong views on some things. Other things, you know, I'm more ambivalent about, but I'm a great believer in live and let live. I don't try and force my views on anybody else. If people want to watch my channel, that's fantastic. I want people to watch my channel. But if people don't like the way I do my channel, or they don't like my views, it's fine. There's millions of YouTube channels out there, literally millions, that have all different views. You know, I'm just a little speck of dust in the universe of YouTube channels. So yeah, it's fine. I literally does not. And I know that like-minded people will watch me and sort of either, and even like-minded people don't agree with me all the time. It's just, have you got the ability to accept when somebody has a different view from you? That is the test in life almost, isn't it? You know, you can't, you sort of, I think when you grow up, you know, when you're a child and teenager, etc., and you tend to associate with people similar to you, don't you? And you probably do all have more or less the same views because you have the same life experience. But as you get older, and especially if you move away, you know, I've lived in quite a few different places. So I was born in Manchester, then I went to live in Reading, which was completely different people in Reading than in the UK. You know, very different, met a lot of different people there. And then, weirdly enough, coming to live in Spain, which of course I've lived here nearly 30 years, it's not only Spanish people that I've met, but I've met every nationality you can imagine, because I'm a Spanish teacher in my other life. Some of you will know, and maybe some of you don't know. And so through my classroom, through teaching Spanish, I've taught students, or I've taught Russian students, Lithuanian students, Latvian students, Danish, Swedish, Icelandic, French, German, Polish, Estonian. I've probably missed out like Irish, English, Scottish. I have taught students of every different nationality you can imagine. So I've met a lot of different people, and they've given me, I think, a good insight into different cultures. I've taught Arabic students, I've taught Mormons, you know, American students have come in that were Mormons. I've taught, I must write a list of it one day of all the different nationalities. So what I'm trying to say is, it's very, you know, I remember as clear as day the first Russian students that I had. Was almost scared because, you know, the propaganda against Russia in the UK is ridiculous. And, you know, you think all Russians are sort of, I don't know, spies or killers or whatever, or snipers, or they're not. They're just normal people like us, you know, and they're lovely people, actually, the ones I've met anyway. Very lovely people. I haven't met any horrible Russians, put it that way. But I've met a lot of horrible British people over my lifetime. So, you know, I'm not saying that British people are horrible. What I'm saying is every nationality has good people and bad people. That's why I take people at face value. I don't think, oh, all the Russians are like that, or all the Muslims are like that, or all the Christians are like that, or whatever. I don't like generalizations. We're all snowflakes. We're all individual. So you can be British. That's what you've got in common with other British people, or Australian or American. But you're also a snowflake within that. It doesn't mean you have to agree with every other British person. You know, there are some characteristics. You know, we associate drinking tea. I haven't got milk in it, but drinking tea. You know, we have our stereotypes. The British like pubs. They like drinking tea. They're eccentric. You know, they're all these kind of things. These are stereotypical things that other countries say about us. But we also have a reputation for fair play, for tolerance, or we used to. I don't know if we still have now. I think, you know, our reputation now has been pretty much shattered after Brexit. But yeah, you know, so there are sort of tendencies for people, but that doesn't mean say everybody's the same, does it? You know, I just don't know why people think that. And now it's like, oh, free speech, all these people bleating on about free speech. And then Gary Neville used his free speech to say what he thought, and all those middle-aged, angry white men that he was saying were spreading hate all came out and went mental. It's just like they just all proved his point. You know, yeah, you can't have an opinion. You can't have an opinion unless it's the opinion, the racist sort of GB News opinion. Do you know, or you know, Jeremy Kyle, Nigel Farage. If you haven't got the same opinion as them, you can't have an opinion. No, they've got their opinion. I don't agree with their opinion, but there you go. We live in a free country, you know, supposedly. But these people, Tiny Tommy Robinson, he's just the biggest hypocrite of all, because he doesn't even live in Britain either himself. He lives in Spain and travels on an Irish passport. So what, you know, what does he know about what? Anyway, so I'm having a waffle now. I'm having a bit of a rant, aren't I? And Gerry McCann had the absolute brass face to say that Gary Neville had forgotten that he'd made millions from working class people and he was betraying them. Jeremy Kyle, he made a career out of making fun of the working classes, of, you know, like treating them. What did that judge? There was a judge once that described it like bear baiting. What he does, you know, deliberately antagonizing people and getting them to argue on the telly for his ratings, you know, and sometimes it was compulsive viewing, you know, but it's the hypocrisy of it. You know, how dare he say that Gary Neville played for United. He's an avid United fan, which that's the only thing I don't like about him, because I'm a City fan, of course. But yeah, you know, he's entitled to his free speech as well. Why can't he say what he wants to say? But all these racist idiots, they can all go around saying really vile things and spreading hate and division. Britain has been divided, I think, deliberately. You've got to bear in mind where these people are coming from. You've got Nigel Farage, is paid by Russia, and you've got Tiny Tommy Robinson, who's paid by Israel. They're there deliberately to spread division. And, you know, look up and see what's happening up there. Don't look at sort of what people are trying to make you look at. Trying to make people so angry against immigrants or Muslims or whatever, or women against men. They pit people against each other. Governments do that, or elites do that, so that you're not looking up at what's going on. Look at the House of Lords. Look how Boris Johnson gave his possibly illegitimate daughter, made her a baroness, and his brother. Look at that. All the people that get made lords or baronesses. Michelle Mone. You know what I mean? Look at them. Anyway, gosh, this is completely nothing to do with what I'm going to talk about, and you're probably all sick of me ranting on, but there you go. So, hi West Side. Oh, so now I'm coming into the show. I've finished ranting now, I promise. Hi West Side. Yeah, we've not seen you for a while. It's nice to see you. Hi Lily. Hi Bluebell. Hi Julie. Oh, you've reminded me, Julie. So today here in Spain is a fiesta day. The 9th of October is in the Valencian area. Oh, it won't be a holiday where you are, Julie, because you're in Madrid, aren't you? Yeah, so for people who don't know, Spain is divided into communities, like autonomous communities. So a bit like councils, like a bit like counties are in the UK, and provinces maybe in other countries. So Spain is divided into these autonomous communities, and so Valencia, so it's not just Valencia the city, that is the capital of it, but the whole, it's a massive area that are all considered part of the Valencian community. And today's their day. Yeah, it's the day of the Comunidad Valenciana. So yeah, not the whole, it's not a national holiday. It won't be all over Spain, but in the community of Valencia, everything's short and it's a fiesta. Now, we've already had some bangers this morning. We may get a few more later. You know, they love a banger when it's a fiesta, the Spanish. So just to warn you that there might be a few more bangers later. We've already had a few, though. Maybe they've finished. So, yeah, I don't, you know, it's an important day for Valencia, for the Valencian community. And of course, Valencia, the Valencian community, it has its own language. It's so Spain is sort of, it has the national government that's based in Madrid, but then each of these communities have their own independent government, so they are allowed to make certain, you know, they will, it's a bit like states, I suppose, in America. You've got like the whole country, which is Spain, but then individual autonomous communities like the states in America that have, you know, quite a lot of power themselves to decide what happens in their area. So it's sort of like that, Spain. So today is 9th of October, Comunidad de Valenciana Day. So hi, Julie. You reminded me of that. Hi, Daniel. Yes, happy Thursday. Hi, Joanna. Did I say hello to Lily? Hi, Lily. Hi, Daniel. Well, I don't see any whatsoever. Julie, my number one son, he hasn't even taken anything. So, he hasn't been to the doctor. He could probably do with antibiotics. He's taken paracetamol, one. Not paracetamol. He doesn't like taking ibuprofen, and we didn't have any paracetamol. So that's it, literally, that he's taken. So anyway. Hi, Jasmina. Lurking open-minded snowflake. Yeah, that's brilliant. I wish everybody was an open-minded snowflake. Oh, dear. Exactly, Bluebell. Jeremy Kyle drove someone's suicide. I mean, you know, to be fair, he was found at the inquest. I mean, I don't, you know, I don't, but I've never like accused him of that. You know, it's like I thought he should have been exonerated, because at the end of the day, that man, when you go on the Jeremy Kyle show, like if the Jeremy Kyle show came back and I went on it tomorrow, you know, you've seen it before, you know what's going to happen. So the man took it unto himself to go onto the Jeremy Kyle show. But I do think, you know, he was ridiculed by Jeremy, but everybody is, aren't they? So, you know, the answer to that, obviously, is if you're too sensitive, just don't go on it. But he did take his own life after being on that show. So it's the hypocrisy of Jeremy to have a go at Gary Neville for doing a lot less than he did, you know, to accuse Gary Neville of taking money off the working classes, his fans, and, you know, because he's got hotels and things like that in Manchester as well, Gary Neville. It's the hypocrisy of it, you know, and he poked fun at the working classes for, was it 15 years or something, that did the Jeremy Kyle show. Yeah, it's a national holiday on Monday, isn't it, Julie? Yeah, that's a national holiday. So, okay. So I have finished rambling a little bit, and I'm going to, let's see if there's anything coming up yet. Oh, yes. So the live stream that has started on Sky News. So let's go to it and have a little recap, look at their recap. For what happened yesterday. So I do think it's very, very unfair that Madeleine's siblings have to go through this. It's awful that there have been forced to go through this. But anyway, thing is, Julia, she's got away with it for so long. And it's only finally, I mean, she's been doing this for ages. And so really, she was lucky to get away with it for so long. You know, stalking is not good for anybody. She is not Madeleine McCann. It's been proven that she's not Madeleine McCann. She looks nothing like Madeleine McCann. She looks nothing like Amelie, apart from the hair, in my opinion. But anyway, let's have this little video recap first of all.
Madeleine is a beautiful, bright, funny and caring little girl.
At the height of the search for her daughter in Portugal, Kate McCann was front and centre, clutching 3-year-old Madeleine's toy. She was desperate to find her. Nearly 2 decades on, it remains one of the UK's longest-running missing persons cases. Artists created images of what Madeleine looked like as she grew up, but it's alleged that one woman decided to try to convince the McCanns that she was their daughter. Julia Wandelt, who is 24 and from Poland, is on trial for stalking them.
Yeah, exactly, Westside. And the other thing we have to remember is this girl has pretended to be 2 other missing children. Before she pretended to be Madeleine, she pretended to be 2 other missing children. So she was known to the missing persons website. She'd already tried to say she was 2 other people. So that, again, so you put all that together and you know she's just talking a load of rubbish. She is, sadly, there is something wrong with her, definitely mentally. I do feel for her. I feel sorry for her because she's just, there's something wrong there. And she's been exploited by podcasters, and she's been exploited by lawyers as well. You know, and by this silly woman, the Spragg woman, you know, who's old enough to know better. She's 61 years old.
It's alleged she sent incessant messages to them, even turning up at their house in December 2024. Kate McCann told the court, "I pulled up on the drive. It was really dark. It was the weekend. We had the gales. I was opening the boot to get something out and I heard someone say, 'Kate.' I knew it was someone behind me, but I didn't know who it was. She called me Mum, I think."
So imagine you're pulling up outside your door, it's dark, it's blowing a hoolie because it was the gales, and then someone shouts, "Mum," you know, from the darkness, like, and you know, honestly, and as you all know, and I'll just say it one more time, my sympathy for the McCanns is more limited because I just don't know why they left those kids on their own. But, you know, even through that, I can see that if you pulled up outside your home, you open the boot to get some out of your car and someone's shouting "Mum," and you know it's not Amelie or Sean. I mean, that must have been a horrible experience. Whatever, you know, you wouldn't wish that on anybody. And then these 2 women step out of the darkness and you're there on your own. Don't forget, Kate was on her own. And there's 2 of them, and they were not very aggressive. She does say that they weren't particularly aggressive, but, you know, still quite scary and mentally unbalanced. You know, you don't know what they're going to do. I mean, you know, it must have been quite a terrifying experience, that.
She was asking for a DNA test. "Why won't you do a DNA test?" and pleading with me. Mrs. McCann said Wandelt was with co-defendant Karen Spragg from Cardiff, who was described as more aggressive, and said, "Don't you want to find your daughter?" Kate McCann, who was giving evidence from behind
I mean, literally, you know, people go online and they say things about the McCanns or whatever, and that's sort of part of the course, really. They wanted a high social media profile, and they got one. But it's one thing to be online, joining discussion groups, or, you know, talking about like we're talking about it. It's completely different to go to their house, to say, don't you want to find your daughter? You know, apparently she accused Gerry of being a Freemason, which, do you know, it's just pathetic and childish, and just not the way that you should act.
Curtin said she felt distressed. She managed to get inside the house and lock the door. At times, the defendant Wandelt, as she listened to the evidence, appeared to cry. She later shouted, "Why are you doing this to me?" as she left court. Every year in the McCann's home village of Rothley, there is this vigil for Madeleine. At one of these poignant gatherings, it's claimed that Wandelt turned up looking for the McCanns and constantly tried to contact them. Gerry McCann told the court, "Kate was upset. I was getting frustrated and angry that these calls were coming. The phone went and I picked it up and answered it. I said, 'You're not Madeleine. Please stop calling,' and then hung up very, very quickly. I made it very clear these were unwanted calls. To be honest, it was a bit of a blur." Both Wandelt and Spragg deny stalking the McCanns. The trial continues. Lisa Dowd, Sky News, Leicester.
Okay, so that's what's happened more or less so far. So today, 30 minutes ago, they posted, "Good morning and welcome back to our live coverage of the trial of two women accused of stalking the family of Madeleine McCann. The missing girl's parents, Gerry and Kate McCann, gave evidence yesterday against defendants Julia Wandelt and Karen Spragg at Leicester Crown Court. Today, the jury is due to hear evidence from Gerry and Kate's 20-year-old twins, Sean and Amelie. During her evidence yesterday, Kate said that Wandelt, who claimed to be Madeleine, contacting Amelie was the final straw that led her to call the police. Now, this is it. So this today, as Amelie and Sean, poor things, have to give their testimony. They shouldn't have to be in this position because they have done nothing wrong. They just happen to be Madeleine's siblings, and they've had to grow up, you know, with the notoriety, if you like. I mean, they're trying to prove themselves as people, as Amelie McCann and Sean McCann, not as Madeleine McCann's brother and sister. And they're doing very well, apparently, because Sean McCann, he's likely, let's just have before we go on to, let's have a look. He's a swimmer. And, oh, hang on. Isn't he he's tipped to go to the Olympics? Yeah, let's have a look at this. So here is Sean. Now look how well he's done. He's 20 years old. I'm a swimmer who competes in the 400, 800 metres and 1500 metres freestyle, as well as 10 kilometres open water. I've made international appearances in the Youth Commonwealth Games for Learn Scotland in Trinidad and Tobago, and at the European Junior Open Water Championships in Corfu for Great Britain. I started competitive sport when I was 8, joining Charnwood Triathlon Club. It was here that I discovered my passion for swimming, and I joined Loughborough Town Swimming Club to increase the number of swim sessions I did per week. At the age of 10, I was selected to swim at the City of Leicester, Leicester's Performance Swimming Club, and I have since gone on to win multiple county titles, as well as becoming regional and national champion in my age group. Well done. In order to have achieved this, I've had to remain extremely dedicated. Well, both Kate and Gerry are very fitness orientated, aren't they? So they've obviously brought Sean and Amelie up the same. Getting up at 4 a.m. multiple mornings each week to train since the age of 11. I'm currently studying chemical engineering at Loughborough University, and I train 9 times a week in the pool, as well as 3 gym sessions, totaling over 20 hours of training week. I am aiming to compete at the 2026 Commonwealth Games and also the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. The Inspire Awards will help me to fund travel and accommodation for the Scottish National Swimming Championships in Edinburgh, where I will gain valuable racing experience prior to the Olympic swimming trials in April 2024. And I think he did well in those trials. I think he is going forward. So, yeah, good for him. That's Sean. So he's done really well. You know, it won't have been easy, will it? Won't have been easy what they've had to go through. Just, you know, as soon as you say the name McCann, in that, you know, people will know who they are. But of course, you know, very, you know, it's a lot, isn't it? It's a lot that they've had to go through, and they've come out of it well. So this was what we got here. So what happened in court yesterday? So yesterday, Kate and Gerry both faced questioning, and they gave evidence from behind a blue curtain. Now they've got a blue curtain to sit behind, which is like, you do think, well, why they, you know, they have got special treatment there, because a lot of even people who've been RAPED'd have to sit and face their assailants in court normally, don't they? But anyway, they've got a blue curtain to protect their privacy, and they spoke of the distress and anger at the actions of Julia and Karen, who deny the charges against them. And prosecutors alleged that Julia from Lubin in Poland peddled the myth that she was Madeleine McCann. And yes, we must not forget she pretended to be 2 other women first, 2 other girls first. So this is the 3rd missing person she has pretended to be, while stalking her parents by sending emails, making phone calls and turning up at their address. Kate said she'd been frightened. Bet she was frightened when Julia and Karen arrived at her home in December 2024, and she said that the Polish national had been pleading and asking about DNA tests again. After Kate concluded the first part of her evidence, Wandelt, 24, had to be escorted from the courtroom after sobbing and shouting, "Why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me?" she was saying. She is a real narcissist. And she seems to save all her sort of attention for Kate, which, like, she doesn't really... It's funny that, isn't it? Because you don't get this where she's saying to Gerry, "Oh, Dad, you're my dad," or writing him a letter and addressing it to Dad. It's all focused on Kate, isn't it? Because Kate's probably the more vulnerable one of the 2, you know, and she knows that, Julia. She's crafty. So, yeah, Gerry and Kate's twins, Sean and Amelie, are due to give evidence at Leicester Crown Court today. And during her evidence yesterday, Kate told the jury that Julia contacting her daughter Amelie was the final straw that prompted her to call the police. You know, Julia had got away with this for a long time, but yeah, once she started contacting Amelie and Sean, that they'd had enough, then that's why they've gone to the police, and I don't blame them. Gerry also became emotional yesterday when he spoke about his children allegedly being contacted by Julia. "I was appalled," he said. "We'd done our best to try and protect Sean and Amelie. Given what has happened to Madeleine, we try and keep them out of the media as much as possible. We know they want to be identified as Sean and Amelie McCann and not missing Madeleine's brother and sister. As a parent, you want to try to protect your children. We know social media can be damaging and there is nasty stuff online about us, so obviously we want to protect them from that." Okay, so the jury's been brought into the courtroom, And Julia and Karen are sitting quietly next to each other, listening to the court proceedings. So while we're waiting for the next post, I'm going to have a look to see what I can find about Amelie, what she's been up to, because she's been very successful as well. So they have done well. You know, because this is a dark shadow to live under, isn't it? Very dark shadow for them to live under. Not only their sister being snatched, and knowing that they were in that room alone as well at the same time. They were in that, if it's true that, which personally I don't think it probably is, but let's presume it is, because that is the official narrative at the moment, that Madeleine was snatched. So, you know, these two, they know that they were in that room. They were in that room while Madeleine was snatched. Very scary to think of, I'm sure. You know, must haunt them, really. Now, there's two things I'm going to look at. So, first of all, I just want to look at the two, who has Julia also said that she was? Because I think a lot of people don't know that. There are two of them. And that came up in the first and second day. Yeah, so she previously, let's have a look. So the woman, oh, they always try and get me to subscribe, but I'm sorry, I'm not subscribing. So sorry. So the woman who claimed to be Madeleine McCann stalked other missing girls' parents. So Julia Wandelt in this trial was described as a conspiracy theorist who had previously pretended to be two other missing children. So let's see where it gives the name. So the jury was told she had previously pretended to be two other missing children. Inga Gericke from Germany, who was born 8 years after her, and Acacia Bishop from the US, whose grandmother stood trial for the girl's murder, but was found not guilty by reason of insanity. Let's see if I can have a look at any for some. So she's twice before claimed to be missing children. I forgot the name already. Inga Gericke. Yeah. So, have a look. So these are the pictures of Inga Gericke, who disappeared. And Julia has claimed to be her as well. You know, this woman is seriously unhinged, isn't she? You know, that's what I think anyway. Seriously unhinged. And who was the other girl? Let's have a look. And Acacia Bishop. From the US. So she must just troll around all the missing persons thing. Anybody who's missing who is anywhere near her age or possible, that, you know, that's what she does. Oh, look at this little one. What? So this was 2003, May the 25th, 2003. 1-year-old Acacia Patience Bishop was kidnapped from her great-grandmother's Salt Lake City, Utah home by her paranoid schizophrenic grandmother. She's believed to have driven to the Idaho Falls, Idaho Idaho area. You know, there's a lot of things happening in Idaho. You know, you notice it when you're doing the true crime videos. Seems to be so much happens in Idaho. Anyway, and drowned this little girl. Look at her, bless her. She was only one. Drowned her in the Snake River the following day, but her little body has never been located. Bless. Oh, you know, there are bad things happen in this world, isn't there? Very sad. But anyway, so it feels like that what Julia has done basically is she's looked for any missing person, you know, any missing person case that, you know, is anywhere near her age, her colour hair, you know, colour eyes or whatever, and claimed to be that person. So we mustn't forget this about Julia. This is not her first rodeo, claiming to be Madeleine McCann. She's claimed to be this little girl and also the little German girl. So she's you know, she's not a full ticket. And you know, when she's been on podcasts and things, you know, these bloody podcasters who've used her, they never asked about these cases. You know, they never said, oh, well, didn't you claim to be a Casey, a Bishop, or the other little German girl? They never asked about the other cases, you know, and said, well, you were already known to the missing persons website because you'd already claimed to be two other little girls. You know, they don't ask the difficult, call themselves podcasters. They think they're great interviews. They don't ask the questions that they should ask. They're just there for their clicks. That's it. Okay. So going back to, where am I going now? So there's been another post. Well, this is, and then I'm going to look and see about Amelie, what she's, you know, what she's been making of her life. So she'll be, you know, of course, her and Sean are twins, so they're both only 20 years old. So doorbell footage from McCann's neighbour shown to the court. The court is being read a statement from Alex Milton, a neighbour of the McCanns in Rothley, Leicestershire. He's speaking about the night of 7th of December 2024, when defendants Julia Wandelt and Karen Spragg allegedly confronted Kate and Gerry McCann at their home. Milton says he noticed a woman sitting in a white car at around 6 p.m, which was still there when he returned home later. And he says, I thought this was strange. And he noticed that the car was still there when he went out at 7:20. I mean, that is pure and simple stalking behaviour. To sit outside someone's house in a car, waiting for them to come home. Footage from Milton's doorbell is then played to the court. Two figures are seen walking past his door and walking back 2 minutes later. An hour and a half later, footage shows one figure and then another. Sorry, I've just got to check this message. God, I've got a new phone and I still don't really know how to use it properly. Just want to check a message. Okay. So he noticed the car was still there when he went out again at 7:20. Footage from his doorbell is then played to the court. Two figures are seen walking past his door and walking back 2 minutes later. An hour and a half later, footage shows one figure, then another, moving back towards the McCann's house. And then at 7:59 p.m, they move away again. Okay, so while we're waiting for the next post, let's have a look at Amelie, what she's been up to. So the thing is, you know, I mean, they're young people, they're 20 years old. They want to come out on social media and say things like normal 20-year-olds do. They want to have social media accounts. They shouldn't have their social media accounts stalked by some, scary woman who does need medical, she does need help. And I feel for her for that. But the thing is, she's scaring people and she's not really caring about their feelings. She wants everyone to care about her feelings, but she doesn't care about their feelings, does she? She's like, anyway. So let's have a look at some, So here's an article that from Newsbee. Amelie McCann, an inspiring journey of Madeleine McCann's sister through tragedy and strength. At the end of the day, she is Amelie McCann. She doesn't always want to be known as Madeleine McCann's sister, does she? So the untold story of Amelie McCann's life resilience and her role as Madeleine McCann's sister in the shadow of a global mystery. Again, another lovely picture of her. She's a very attractive girl. So let's see, we know most of this. So she goes, apparently she went to, Catholic secondary school, currently a university student. Her known interests are swimming, triathlons, cross-country running, and her first public speech was on May the 3rd, 2023, at the vigil for Madeleine McCann. So she went to that vigil. Sean didn't go, but she went. So that was 2023. 2024, I don't think she went. And I know this year, none of them went because of all this stalking business. So Amelie McCann was born in 2005 in the peaceful village of Rothley, Leicestershire, England. She grew up in a loving household along her twin brother Sean and her older sister Madeleine. The McCann family lived a normal life filled with family outings and shared memories until tragedy struck in 2007 when Madeleine disappeared during a family holiday in Portugal. At just 2 years old, Amelie was too young to fully understand the events unfolding, but this early experience shaped the environment she grew in as her family became the centre of worldwide media attention. Despite this, her parents worked hard to give her and her twin brother as normal as a childhood as possible, and that must have been difficult, to be fair. The disappearance of Madeleine shocked the world and became a case followed by millions across different countries. While Amelie and Sean were sleeping peacefully in the same apartment room as their sister that night, Madeleine was taken without a trace. I notice it doesn't say alone. They were left alone. We never must forget that they were left alone. And Gerry and Kate have never acknowledged responsibility for that. That is what bugs me through this whole thing. For Amelie, growing up as Madeleine McCann's sisters meant living with both love and loss. She has stayed mostly private, but the case has shaped her life, inspiring her to stay strong while the search for Madeleine continues. So she attended a local Catholic secondary. So they're very committed Catholics, aren't they, the McCanns? She was particularly interested in sports, showing talent in activities such as swimming and cross-country running. Participating in athletics became a healthy outlet for her energy and emotions, helping her to maintain balance while growing up under unique circumstances. Reports indicate that Amelie is now a university student in higher education. She keeps her private life away from the media, but she has embraced her independence and continues to move forward. So for most of her life, she avoided public appearances to protect her privacy. However, on the 16th anniversary of Madeleine's disappearance, she made headlines when she spoke publicly for the first time. She attended a candlelit vigil alongside her parents, where she offered words of hope and remembrance for her sister. This powerful moment was deeply moving for those who have followed the case for years and showcased Amelie's strength as she stepped into the public eye with grace and courage. I mean, that did take a lot of courage, it must have done. I mean, Kate and Gerry were there. Her friend was there with her probably for moral support. But that must, you know, to know that all that focus is on you at that age, because so she would have been, what, 18, 19 there. You know, teenagers are very self-conscious generally, aren't they? So Amelie's appearance at the vigil also symbolised her ongoing support for her parents' relentless efforts to find Madeleine. Although she lives a private life, her presence that evening demonstrated she shares in her family's commitment to keeping Madeleine's story alive. So it says she's passionate about sport. She's participated in triathlons, swimming competitions, cross-country running events. Sports not only reflect her physical talents, but symbolise her resilience and determination. These activities have helped her build confidence, maintain a sense of normalcy, even while living with the weight of her family's history. And she wants to be known as more than just Madeleine McCann's sister. So her story is one of quiet strength. While she's not sought fame or public recognition, her life represents the resilience of a family living through unimaginable loss. She has grown into adulthood with dignity, showing it's possible to find hope and purpose even in the shadow of tragedy. And her role as Madeleine McCann's sister ensures she will always be connected to one of the most widely known missing cases in modern history. I mean, there's going to be no escaping it for her, bless her. So it's just a question of, you know, coming to terms with it and trying to make the best of it. I mean, you know, she can't change it, can she? Amelie is gradually creating her own identity, focusing on education, sports, and a future beyond the headlines. And this this is obviously a blurb that's been written about her. It's not her who's written it, but what they conclude is that her journey is both heartbreaking and inspiring, from her early childhood surrounded by love, through the tragedy of her sister Madeleine's disappearance to her emergence as a strong and independent young adult. Amelie has demonstrated extraordinary courage. I definitely think she has. I think both of the... Oh, what's that on there? Why is that up on there like that? Don't know why that was up on there. It's not... Oh, it's just come up. It's just come up. Oh, God, I thought that'd been up there all the time. Okay, let's go back to see what's happening in the trial. Okay, so she's just been called to give her evidence. So let's have a look at the post. Just let me put that down. Put Amelie's picture down. I mean, it is, awful, really, isn't it? That they've had to do this, but anyway. So 6 minutes ago, it was reported that Wandelt messaged Amelie McCann on Facebook, and the jury is told that Amelie McCann was contacted via Facebook by Julia Wandelt. I mean, poor Amelie, because, she's a young girl. She wants to have a Facebook account, just like all her friends have got a Facebook account. Do you know, why shouldn't she be able to have a Facebook account or social media without some nutter contacting her? So Wandelt sent messages to her asking for her parents to respond to her. At this point, she's joining from a video link from another location, so she's not actually there at the court. I thought she might be there and behind the blue curtain, but she's not. She's not actually there. She's joining via a video link from another location, and she says hello before confirming her identity. She says she was aware of Julia Wandelt before she contacted her because it was in the media. Oh my God. Do you know, I think you can't imagine how that must feel. You know, we open up our social media. It's rare that we open up newspapers these days, isn't it? Years ago, we'd be getting a paper and looking at the paper. Imagine your own face staring out at you. You know, you're in the news. You know, going into social media and then suddenly this Julia popping up saying that she's your sister. It's beyond, I don't think we can imagine how that will feel, can we? She says she was aware of Julia because it was in the media, and she said, I think the police had got in touch with my parents about it. Amelie confirms that the first contact she received from Julia was in January 2024, where she'd been messaging me on social media. Gosh, it's a shame, isn't it? You can't even have social media because some nutcase will be contacting you. You know, some stalker. I mean, stalkers are terrifying. You know, let's make no mistake about how stalkers make you feel. If you've ever been stalked, it is scary, really scary. And, you know, these two women, especially this one, to be honest, especially Spragg to me, because I just feel like she should know better. She's exploited. Why? I don't know. What's her interest in it all? Or maybe she's got mental health issues as well. I don't know. Maybe she's a bit of a delusionist. But Julia, you know, as much as I do feel some sympathy for her because of her obvious delusions, it's hard for me to feel too much sympathy for her because she's made, two young people's lives a misery. You know, and two young people that are already, you know, having to cope with unwelcome media attention, etc. She just made it worse. So it's difficult for me to feel too much sympathy for Julia, to be honest. Anyway, I've got another post just come up. I thought if I ignored the messages, it would be fine. And Amelie McCann says that at first she didn't tell anybody about Julia contacting her on Facebook. Oh my God, so she didn't even tell her family. And you know, that's another thing, isn't it? That teenagers, young people, you know, they don't tell their families everything. I mean, I don't know the dynamics of their family relationship, but there can be various reasons for that. Sometimes teenagers are just naturally private, aren't they? They don't want their parents to know anything. They go through that phase where they think the parents don't know anything anyway, and what's the point in talking to them? And, you know, or it could be she didn't want to worry her parents, you know, because of everything that we, you know, I can't imagine how it's been for Amelie and Sean all those years. Going through, knowing that they were in that room, maybe the guilt that their parents feel, not that the parents have ever shown that guilt, have they? Because they've never really taken responsibility for the fact they left all the kids on their own. They've tried to say it was a perfectly legitimate thing to do, which it obviously wasn't. But you don't know, maybe in private they have, maybe in private they've said to the kids, you know, we're so sorry, or blah, de, blah, de, blah. Maybe she didn't want to upset her parents. I don't know, as I say, I don't know what her relationship is with her parents now. Have they got a good relationship, a bad relationship? I have no idea. But I think it's interesting to say that she didn't tell anybody about Julia Wandelt, so not even her friends, because teenagers tend to tell their friends things more, don't they? You know, you go through that phase when you're kids, you're the like God to your children, aren't you, or goddess, and they tell you everything and they rely on you for everything. And then they get to be a teenager and then suddenly your opinion means nothing. It's like everything you say is wrong. They challenge everything you say. I don't think that ever really gets better, does it? So, but not all teenagers do that. Some teenagers do still respect their parents' opinion, but I don't know about this particular teenager. And she says she did not know that it would be considered stalking. And she says that she thought if she ignored the messages, that would be fine. Yeah, I think that's what a lot of young people do. Because, I think that is definitely a generational thing, because people that have grown up with social media, like my number one son, he gives me advice on things. Sometimes if I get trolled or somebody puts a bad message, or he just wouldn't take any notice of it, because he's grown up with social media. He knows that there's people out there that will always say bad things, and not to take it seriously. Just ignore it. He's told me that. He said, oh, don't, hide any comments or anything like that, because because the other thing is that even when a troll puts a comment on your YouTube or whatever, that is an interaction, and that does help the algorithm. So trolls help the algorithm too, because it's an interaction, be it a negative one. So if someone puts a thumbs up, that's a good sort of reaction, but it helps the algorithm. But even if people put a thumbs down to your video, it still helps the algorithm, because it's a contact. And YouTube likes interaction. Doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. So all you trolls out there, well, I say that, I know there are not many of you, but there will be at least one, I'm sure, watching this. Put a downwards thumb. When people put a downward like, they think they're getting to you. They're not getting to you. They're giving you an interaction. They're helping your channel. Same as if they leave a nasty comment. Leaving any comment helps your algorithm. So I do think young people are more, they just ignore things, So she just ignored it. She said, I thought if I ignored the messages, that would be fine. Oh, and then she said, and this is what I said earlier, she didn't want to cause additional stress to her family, and she was used to ignoring messages. I mean, she must get millions of messages, mustn't she? And she probably, because, it's so similar to what my son has said to me. He said, if you get an email that's nasty or a message that's nasty, once you've got past the first line and that you've realised, just ignore it. Just don't read it any further. It's funny, isn't it? Like, that's what he'll do on messages and things, and he'd just block someone like that on WhatsApp if he feels like it. Doesn't have it. I'm like always trying to be a bit more circumspect, but what he always says to me is just ignore it. Not even block, not anything. Ignore. As soon as you realize the way it's going, just check out of it. It's good advice. And Amelie especially, she'll be used to having to blank messages, because over the years, as soon as she went on social media and people start finding her, she'll have had loads of messages. I am the girl who went viral. Amelie McCann reveals the message from her stalker. So she's now speaking in more detail about the message sent to her on Facebook in January 2024. She says it was from a profile called Julia. Now that's interesting, because who else had a similar profile name to that? Do you remember Erin Patterson, the mushroom murderess? Her Facebook profile was Erin, or Erin even. This must be what, mentally unbalanced people choose for their Facebook profiles. So she says it was from a profile named Julia, and that soon she realised this was the defendant, Julia Wandelt. Must be so you don't forget their name, hey, because they're so important. The message allegedly read, "Hello, I am this girl who went viral saying she thinks she is Madeleine McCann." And another message the court hears says that Julia had hypnosis sessions and flashbacks, and she knows so many things. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Fancy sending a message to Amelie McCann saying, "Hello, I am this girl who went viral saying she thinks she's Madeleine McCann." She loves it, doesn't she? The thing is about Julia is she loves the attention. It's all about attention for her, isn't it? You know. Well, you can block that. Hi, Julie. You can block them. Of course you can. Yeah, you can block them. But I don't know. Maybe she just didn't bother blocking. You know, maybe she'd had that many. Can you imagine how many messages she will have had? You know, how many messages she will have had? Maybe she just ignored. I'm trying to think like what, because I get a lot of messages, you know, when I think about it. You know, you get a lot of messages from people asking you to like their page. People, you know, I've got like nearly 2,000 Facebook friends. I think I've not met half of them, or more than half. Probably only about 100 of them that I actually know them as real people. Because people are always adding you, aren't they, on Facebook? And yeah, I do get quite a lot of messages, and I just leave them in if I see them, because quite often if they're from someone who's not contact, they go into your what's it called? Oh, there's a special place that they go to, and then you have to check that to make sure you know that person, and you can either click to put it in your normal Facebook or not. Sometimes I forget to look in there. What do they call it? Everyone has it. You know, so obviously if you get a message from someone who is one of your friends, or you've already accepted messages from them before, it goes into your normal inbox. But there's a special inbox for new people. No, it's not archive, Lily. It's message requests. Message requests. If you look at your Facebook, and look down, scroll down the different things. One of them is your Messenger. I mean, one of them is message requests. And sometimes messages go in, because that's happened to me. Someone will have made an inquiry about Spanish classes or whatever, and I haven't seen it because it's gone into message requests. And you have to actively go into message requests to, and then it will come up, and do you want to accept this message? And you can either leave it in message requests, or you can press the thing that puts it into your normal inbox. So, yeah, there is definitely, I would imagine that I've heard other people say this. I'll tell you who else said about just ignoring Facebook messages was Chris Proudfoot, you know, from the Sebastian Rogers case. He said he gets so many messages on, you know, just doesn't even, you know, sort of a bit like my son does. He'll look at it, and if it looks like it's a supportive message, he'll click into it. But if it isn't, he just leaves it there. But don't bother blocking them or anything. Because I suppose you never know when that person might come up with something that you do want to read or whatever. So no, I don't block people. I don't block people on my Facebook. I just might not put them in my normal folder for messages, but don't bother blocking them. I mean, maybe later on she blocked her. Maybe later on she blocked her. We'll find out, won't we? But yeah, you know, you might check your message requests. You might have about 20 messages there that you didn't know you had. Right, so, here you go. So she's going on to explain it now a bit more. So Amelie McCann recalls creepy messages from a woman claiming to be Madeleine. The court hears from Amelie McCann that it was distressing for her to receive messages from Julia. Sorry. She says she felt uncomfortable because I didn't want to receive messages like that, and Wandelt begged her not to block her profile on Facebook. It's quite disturbing. She's coming up with these supposed memories even though she's not Madeleine. And she says that one message from Wandelt read, I know how I was calling you when we were playing once. I know what happened. Another message claimed memories with her and her twin brother, Sean. I remember playing Ringa Ringa Roses with other kids. God, I think there was a photo of that, wasn't there? Wasn't there a photo of them playing Ringa Ringa Roses? Yeah, she's probably been through every photo. But, you know, of course, most kids will have played Ringa Ringa Roses at some point. It made me quite uncomfortable, quite creepy, she says, adding that sometimes messages would arrive on Instagram as well as Facebook. So, I don't know, she may go on to say why she didn't, or maybe she did block her in the end, you know. I don't know. We'll see as it goes on. Let me just come back to the chat. Yeah, I agree, Bluebell. I do think Julia is unwell. I don't know about Karen. I really don't know about Karen. And apparently she's the more aggressive of the two, or she was the more aggressive. I mean, it sort of made me chuckle a little bit yesterday when she was apparently accused Gerry of being a Freemason, which, you know, people have this obsession about Freemasons. You know, I don't know. I literally don't know. I'm not a Freemason, and we have women's Freemason group here in Spain. There's a woman set it up here. You know, but the Freemasons do a lot of good work for charities and things like that as well. I'm not trying to, you know, I don't like any of those type club things, and you know, I don't know, but it's like maybe we need to look at the Freemasons one day, don't we, in a video, and see what we can establish. Are they really sinister, or is it just a rumor that's sort of grown up around them because they're so secretive? Maybe. Don't know. What's your opinion on Freemasons? Let me know what you think about Freemasons. Does anybody know any Freemasons? Now, Gerry said yesterday that Julia had accused him of being a Freemason, but he said he didn't think that he wasn't a Freemason. And he said, as far as he knew, Catholics couldn't be Freemasons. Let's just have a look at that. Actually, we'll have a look while we're waiting for the next post. Who can be a Freemason? Of course, it can only be a man. Freemasonry welcomes men of every country, religion, race, age, income, education, and opinion. However, to join Freemasonry, one must meet the following qualifications. Be a male, at least 18 years of age. The minimum age varies in some jurisdictions, sometimes up to 21. Let's have a look. Let's see. So I can't join because I'm a lady. Where's the? Oh, there it is. There you go. Get the facts. What is Freemasonry? A brotherhood of men committed to lives of honour, integrity, and character. The men of Freemasonry are on a journey of self-discovery. For hundreds of years, Freemasons with deep brotherly love have worked to become the best version of themselves while working to better their communities and our world. Being a Freemason can help you achieve great personal reward by guiding you to build your moral character and connection to your community. Freemasonry is built on the core tenets of brotherly love and affection, relief and truth. And through a commitment to these values, all Freemasons share the common goal of making good men better. In addition to self-improvement, a Freemason is a man eager to be part of something bigger than himself, with a reverence for history, compassion in his heart, and a desire to create a better future. Do any of you know any? Probably most of my chatters are ladies, though not all of them. Does anyone know any Freemasons, or what do you think? Maybe you are a Freemason or a free woman, because I say there are places where you can, like here in Spain, there are chapters, I think they're called chapters, women's Freemasons. Anyway, we'll go back to that in a minute. Let's have a look at the latest post. So Amelie said, I knew deep down it wasn't Madeleine. Amelie McCann says she didn't reply to the persistent messages from Julia Wandelt and her request for her mother, Kate McCann, to take a DNA test. She says she didn't find it persuasive when Wandelt told her about her memories from childhood. It makes you feel guilty because she's quite desperate to connect and reach out to me. I knew deep down it was not Madeleine. She adds that some messages from Julia said she would do whatever is needed to prove her identity. And it's a bit scary because you didn't know what she'll do next. I think the other reason as well, you have to collect these messages as evidence. And just a little bit of advice I'd give to anyone who is being stalked. Keep the messages, let the messages come in, because these are evidence. If in the end you have to go to the police, you must keep a log of everything they do. Because if you ever go to the police about being stalked, first thing they're going to ask for is evidence, that you've been stalked. Messages, letters, phone, voice notes and things. So I think it is a good idea to always keep the messages from anyone that's, acting weirdly towards you, because if you ever have to make a case out of it, you will need it. Yeah, Julie, do you know what? I started using Facebook years ago when it first came out. I can remember the first time I got a request from, I'd never heard of Facebook, and I got a friend's request, and then you had to accept that it was a guy that I sort of vaguely knew. It wasn't a guy that I knew well. Sent me a friend's request, and then of course to get to look at that, you had to go into Facebook and create a profile. That's how they got that. Facebook was just started. And then I started using it quite a lot, and I use it a lot for Spanish classes. That's really the only reason why I've got a Facebook account, and to see what my family are up to, and that, being away from my family and that being in a different country, it's handy sometimes they put things on Facebook and I can see, what's going on that I wouldn't know otherwise. But also work. I have had a lot of business for, Spanish classes through Facebook. So really, apart from that, nowadays, I used to put quite a lot on Facebook really years ago. I was much more active on Facebook. But now it's literally just work, or maybe something for the crime channel, or, I'm a member of some Facebook groups through cases that I'm doing, like Sebastian Rogers, Samantha Murphy, etc. And of course, years ago with Nicola Bulley, but I don't really bother with those now at all, because they're just churning over the same thing over and over again and supporting Peter Folding, really. Most of them, they might as well change them to, Peter Folding Facebook group, nothing to do with Nicola Bulley whatsoever. So yeah, I don't really go on Facebook much now, and it is intrusive, you're right, and it's all adverts now as well. You go on Facebook and all these different adverts and things come up that I've never even heard of. I'm just pressing X all the time to get rid of them, thinking, why am I being sent this? So yeah, it's not my favorite. I'm on X more nowadays. It's funny because I never used to go on X at all, or TikTok, and now I used to just use Facebook really, and now I rarely go on Facebook, but I'm quite often on Twitter. I still want to call it Twitter. Please God, let somebody else buy it and call it Twitter again. And also, yeah, I quite like TikTok now. Like, I say like it is probably not the right word, but I go on it a lot more than I used to. I never used to use TikTok at all, but I do sometimes now. So, okay, let's see what's going on. Anything? Oh, this was a sketch yesterday of Karen and Julia in court. There hasn't been another post yet. So let's go back to the Freemasons. How do I apply to become a Freemason? You can contact your state. Oh, so this is in America. You can contact your state's Grand Lodge, the overarching Masonic governing body in your state where you live. You can find a Masonic lodge in your area that you wish to join, or you can reach out to a man who is a Freemason and ask for his help. You will submit a petition for membership, and members at the lodge will read your petition and form a small committee to meet with you to determine your qualifications and answer any questions you have regarding Freemasonry. So yeah, you have to be approved, I think, don't you? Don't think it's just automatic that you apply and you're accepted. Don't think everyone's accepted, are they? Know so little about it, really. But as far as I know, you have to be accepted. I don't think it's just a blanket acceptance. Anyway, Gerry told us he is not a Freemason. He said that let's see if do they accept Catholics. No. So the Catholic Church, that's interesting. The Catholic Church forbids Catholics from joining the Freemasons due to perceived irreconcilable theological differences, particularly Freemasonry's promotion of religious indifferent. Oh my God, what word is that? Indifferentism, and a system of morality based on human reason rather than faith. The Vatican has issued official prohibitions against membership since the 18th century, which remain in place today, and Catholics who join are considered to be in grave sin. I didn't know that. So it seems like you can join, but the Catholic Church don't want you to join by the sound of it. Let's not anyway, we'll go back to that in a minute. I just want to read the next post. So Julia sent edited images of Amelie McCann to prove, oh my God, sent edited images of Amelie McCann to prove she was Madeleine, the court hears. She printed out pictures of herself and of Amelie and sent them to the McCann's home address in an attempt to prove she was Madeleine, the court has heard. Amelie says Julia posted a letter to her house that was addressed to her, in which the 24-year-old said Amelie was her last hope and tried to persuade her that she was Madeleine. And in another message sent online, Amelie says Wandelt sent 2 images side by side. It made me feel very uncomfortable, Amelie said. She'd clearly edited the pictures to make me look more like her, which was disturbing. I didn't look like that, and I knew it had been changed. Oh my God, it's just getting spookier and spookier, really, isn't it? Freakier and freakier. Imagine somebody sending you a picture that they've altered to make you look more like them and say, oh, I'm your sister. Dear me. Oh, and you know, as I'm saying this, I'm looking up at this little cherub's picture up in the, you know, sometimes I think, God, wherever Madeleine is, I hope she's in a better place one way or another, because, I mean, there's no, you know, Gerry said yesterday, there is no evidence that Madeleine is dead. And there is no evidence that Madeleine is dead, despite the German police saying not that long ago, oh yeah, they had evidence she was dead. But of course, none of that evidence has ever surfaced, has it? And now Christian Bruckner has been released. You know, so that was all a load of rubbish, wasn't it? All that, them going off to the Portugal, to that dam, digging up things, saying they had evidence, saying they had this, that and the other. They didn't have anything. Because if they would have had something, Christian Bruckner would not have been released, would he? So I know there's no evidence that Madeleine is deceased, bless her, but, you know, you can't think that she can still be alive now. You know, 20 years, well, not 20, 17, 18 years, bless her. You know, and she's been the most searched for girl. You know, you wouldn't be able to hide her, would you? Because there's been so much publicity. Everybody knows about her. How would you be able to hide this girl? Anyway. Okay, going back to Freemasons. Let's have a look at this again. So the reasons for the Catholic Church's prohibition is irreconcilable doctrines. The Church believes the fundamental principles of Freemasonry are incompatible with Catholic teachings, as Freemasonry offers a path to truth through reason and enlightenment rather than through Jesus Christ, the sacraments and Scripture. Religious indifferentism. Freemasonry is viewed as promoting religious indifferentism, the belief that all religions are equally valid and that one's specific faith is not crucial. I like that. Contradictory oaths. The oaths required by Freemasons are seen as conflicting with a Catholic's baptismal and confirmation vows, potentially leading to a conflict of loyalties. Secularism and naturalism. Some Masonic texts and higher degrees, especially in the American Scottish Rite, include beliefs that directly oppose Catholic dogma and are considered a form of secularism. So yeah, maybe Gerry was right that well, not that you can't join the Freemasons as a Catholic, but the Catholic Church doesn't like it. And Gerry is a devout Catholic, I think, isn't he? Both Gerry and Kate, very devout Catholics, apparently. So seems likely, doesn't it, really? Let's go back. Right, so there hasn't been another posting yet. No, I'll go back. Go back to the Sky News. Let's have a look at this video. We might have seen it already, just while we're waiting for the next post.
Kate McCann spoke very softly in court as she gave evidence from behind a curtain in the trial of two women who were accused of stalking her and her family. Now, she said that one of the women, Julia Wandelt, who's 24 and from Poland, had managed to get hold of her mobile phone number and was messaging her, claiming to be her missing daughter, Madeleine McCann. She was also demanding a DNA test as well. But then in December 2024, she and her co-defendant, Karen Spragg from Cardiff, both turned up at Kate McCann's house. It was dark. She was getting out of the car. She heard Julia Wandelt refer to her as mum, and Spragg says, "Don't you want to find your daughter?" to her. Now, she was very distressed by this. She managed to get into the house, close the door, lock it, and then a short time later, she actually received a letter from Julia Wandelt, which started "Dear Mum" and signed off "All my love, Madeleine." At times during Kate McCann's evidence, we heard Julia Wandelt sobbing in court, and as she was led out on one occasion, she said, "Why are you doing this to me?" Now, both women deny stalking, and the trial continues.
Yeah. Very scary. Let's see. Okay. So a minute ago, there was another post. Kate McCann was felt harassed by Julia more than anyone, Amelie says. Amelie McCann, yeah, she's definitely focused on Kate, isn't she? More than Gerry, you know, because Kate is the more vulnerable one, I think. So Amelie McCann says Julia's actions took the biggest toll on her mother, Kate McCann. "I think my mum found it the hardest and was harassed by Julia more than the rest of us. I think it definitely took its toll on her. All the time her phone would be going off and it was Julia." Amelie says it often played with her mother's emotions when Julia would say, "I am your daughter," recounting the incident on the 7th of December when Julia and Karen allegedly confronted Kate and Gerry McCann at their home. She says her mother was very stressed and on edge. On one occasion, Amelie says her mum told her, "I can't even go home anymore. I don't even know where to go." Yeah, you've got to feel safe in your own home, haven't you? She says that after their incident, there was a lot more security in place around the house and that an alarm was in place that could be pressed to alert the police if Julia returned. And the court hears it was a form of panic alarm. Yeah. So don't forget, let me know what you think. It's a very, very, very difficult situation, isn't it? As I say, whatever you think of the McCanns, like them, don't like them, or think they're lying or don't think they're lying, this is not very nice, is it? Let's have a look at, is this the video we've just watched? All right, this is that was just taking me to a link. When Kate was doing her evidence, she was speaking about the time when Julia and another person came to her home, which of course was Spragg, Karen Spragg. Yeah, we heard this before, didn't we? She was opening her car boot and someone said Kate, and she said her immediate reaction was fear, and she recalls how it was very dark at the time, and she said she pretty quickly identified who it was calling her name, Julia and another woman. "She called me mum." Kate added, saying this was the usual stuff from Julia. Let's go back to where I was. Yeah, we haven't had another post yet. Oh, here we go. So the next post. It didn't make any sense to me. Amelie McCann says she knew immediately that Julia was not her missing sister Madeleine as she claimed to be. I just knew it wasn't her, she tells the court. I have a feeling there would be something about her I would maybe recognise. She is Polish. She has a Polish family. It didn't make any sense to me. So, do you think, I wonder, because quite often they do say that, siblings that are separated or family that are separated at birth, when they meet up later on in life, they do have a connection. They do say that. Now, again, it all comes down to the fact, why don't they just do the DNA test and just get it over with once and for all? I mean, why do you think? Let me know what you think. Why you think they won't do the DNA test? I mean, they gave their reasons. I don't believe that she's Madeleine McCann, and I don't believe for a minute she looks anything like Amelie. But I'm wondering that if that was me, would I feel that I needed to do that test just to know for certain? Just that outside chance that it might be, but I don't know, because I'm not there, I'm not living it, I'm not in it. I wonder how Sean feels about it all. So Gerry said yesterday they didn't want to do a DNA test. He gave reasons why he didn't want to do a DNA test. What do you think? Do you think his reasons for not doing a DNA test are legitimate? He said because there were 3 reasons, weren't there, that he gave. That he felt instantly it wasn't Madeleine. The police had told him they didn't think it was Madeleine. And whatever DNA test, it wasn't his responsibility to do a DNA test. He said quite a few reasons. But would it just put it all to bed once and for all? And Julia definitely singled Kate out, hasn't she? She hasn't sent Gerry a letter saying, "Dear Dad," or whatever. Everything Julia's done is focused on Kate, hasn't it? So she obviously sees Kate as the most vulnerable one, to target. Also, let me know, what do you think is going to happen in this case? If they're found guilty, they're going to get a prison sentence, I think. If they are found guilty, which really there's a lot of proof there, isn't there? The messages are there, the letter. I think that it'd be hard. What's the defense going to be? The only defense really is mental instability, I think. Because I think she definitely did stalk them. I think that's pretty clear. But anyway, let me know, what do you think if they're found guilty? Well, first of all, do you think they'll be found guilty? And if they are found guilty, what will the sentence be? Will it be a prison sentence? Probably. Won't it? Anyway, I'm going to have to go in a minute, but I will be back. Oh, she's finished. Oh, that's a good place to finish. So Amelie has finished giving her evidence, and that's a good time to pause for me. I say pause. I'll be back later with that. I presume Sean will be the next person to give evidence. Will I don't know if there'll be like a cross-examination with the defense, but anyway, we're going to finish there for now. Amelie's finished giving her evidence. Have a think about everything that's been in this video so far. I'll try and I am definitely going to cut it down and get the waffle out of it, and then I will probably release the 3 videos so far with just the evidence, just the testimony, because we've had Kate's testimony, Gerry's testimony, and Amelie's testimony. I'll release those as 3 separate shorter videos. But anyway, thank you for watching along with me. This is a case, isn't it? Just a whole Madeleine McCann thing. It's just never ending, is it? I don't think it will ever be solved. Probably will it, or will it? What do you think? Again, as always, just let me know what you think in comments. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and press your notification bell so you get notifications of the next one. I'll see you really soon in the next video. Thank you so much. And till I see you again, may your God go with you. Bye.